Catherine White. I go by the pen name Catherine Fullerman. Today I am going to be reading a small snippet of our new book, Tales of Thac. It is a collection of short stories and novellas written by several really cool people, including F.P. Spirit, Shannon Pemrick, T.P. Doran, J.L. Price, and moi. If you'd like to find out more about Tales of Thac, I suggest that you go to fpspirit.com and look it up there. As of this video, there's like a cool giveaway going on and all sorts of fun stuff. And yeah, so this book is full of really fun stories. Of course, I know I'm biased, but it does have a lot of really fun stories in it, so I do highly recommend you go check it out. So the snippet I will be reading today is from the short story that I contributed to the book. It is called Fortune Tellers, and it follows a character that is in the Heroes of Ravenford book series, also look those up, named Fran. And it's her backstory and how she came to be. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and launch right into this. There I was, standing on the edge of a steep precipice, staring down at the twinkling torchlights of a carnival some distance below me. It was 1 hour past midnight, a perfect time for jumping and ending it all. What I meant was ending the chase of the guard, who was charging up behind me on horseback. "Hold it right there, thief!" his voice bellowed from the darkness. I glanced back at the guard, smiled, and gave him a special one-finger salute before gracefully falling backward over the edge of the cliff. Okay, it wasn't that dramatic. My foot slipped on a stone, I tripped over my own feet, fell, and then gave him the salute. But that doesn't sound as dramatic, does it? As I tumbled through the air, I rubbed a ring on my finger. Suddenly, I became light as a feather and began to float. Righting myself as best as I could, I spied a plump haystack and angled my body toward it. Only about 100 feet away from it, I realized it wasn't a haystack, but a giant pile of straw mixed with something smelly I most certainly did not want to land in. Let's just say that in my desperation I did some flailing, kicking, maybe a little cursing, and sailed right into the top of a tent. Thankfully, most carnival tents are very sturdy and made to hold back a lot of weight and weather. Unfortunately, this tent was not one of those, and with a loud rip, I fell right through. I landed in the middle of a meeting between 3 people. There may have been some groaning on my part. When I opened my eyes, they were all hovering over me, providing me with a good opportunity to look them over. One was obviously the rainmaster, the other a fortune teller, and the last a fire eater. The fortune teller was the most interesting, and held my gaze with her violet eyes, golden hair, perfect lips, just the right amount of cleavage, eye candy all around if you're into blondes. Her strange violet eyes unnerved me, but I had played lots of staring games before, and I refused to be the first to blink. After holding my gaze for a good long moment, the fortune teller gave me the strangest smile. "Looking for a job, sweetie?" she asked, her eyes sparkling as if with a hidden secret. I glanced at the other 2, both men. I hopped up to my feet, squared my shoulders, and okay, I stood slowly, with lots of groaning, aching, and popping joints. I brushed my tattered skirts off and straightened my shoulders with much grimacing. The rainmaster stroked back his black mustache, trying not to laugh as he looked me up and down. "Sorry, girl, but I already have someone for the magic act. However, if you would like to audition for the clown act..." During this time, an idea had been forming in my head. I needed to get out of town for special reasons, as alluded to earlier. What better way to do that than to run away and join the circus? Thankfully, I had used a bit of magic to change my appearance before my less than graceful landing. I stroked my now frizzy strawberry blonde hair, trying to make it lay flat rather than spread to the 4 corners of the earth. I'm awful sorry, sir. I was told you'd have a job for me. I lied like a trained professional. I'll take any job you have. I'm a hard worker. An amused smile flashed across the ringmaster's face. Sorry, but I don't believe good help falls just out of the sky. His levity quickly died away as the fortune teller stepped up and began to circle me. A moment of silence slipped by, then she grabbed my hand, looked at my palm, and traced the lines on it. The ringmaster shifted on his feet. What do you see, Illustra? The fortune teller peered at me and winked, then faced him. I must take her as my assistant. Ah, but I want her as my assistant. The fire eater hurried forward, grabbing a strand of my hair. Do you realize what kind of fire tricks I could do with this haystack? I jerked away from him and slapped his hand. Hey, who do you think you are? I'm Qualar, and I think your hair is fabulous. His green eyes were fixated on the frizzy blonde mass atop my head. Not for burning, it ain't. I scooted closer to Illustra. Qualar waved his hands in the air dramatically. Not for burning. Fire tricks. There's a difference. I turned to Illustra. Please save me from the fire maniac. The ringmaster cleared his throat loudly. I don't pay for stray puppies. Illustra raised an eyebrow. You don't pay any of us, actually. He shrugged. I make sure you have enough to eat. I don't see a reason to feed her too. I'll take care of her needs. The ringmaster motioned Illustra to join him at another corner of the tent. The two stepped to the side and lowered their voices. I could tell he took the fortune teller seriously, but wanted a legitimate reason to keep me around. Couldn't say I blamed him. When ye aren't busy assisting Illustra and her mind-reading, future-telling ways, you want to come do some fire tricks with me? Qualar edged closer, leaning on his fire stick, and smiled. I frowned as I looked him over. Pass. His smile fell. Why not? Fire tricks are fun. I waved my finger in a circle, motioning at his face. You've got crazy written all over your mug, and it makes my hair cringe in fear. Qualar squinted one eye and raised the opposite eyebrow. Are you putting me in the crazy box just 'cause I play with fire? I nodded. He waved a finger at me. Now listen here, miss, I didn't catch your name. I didn't throw it. He huffed. What do you want me to call you? I glanced at Illustra and the ringmaster, noting that both were looking in my direction. You can call me Francis. Qualar nodded. All right, friend dear, let me educate you on the finer points of why playing with fire doesn't automatically make you crazy. Illustra appeared next to my side, laughing lightly. Perhaps you can educate my new assistant over supper, Qualar. The fire eater nodded. Cake. I'll talk over cake. You can have the supper stuff. He opened the tent flap for both of us ladies. I glanced around the tent to find the ringmaster gone. So, it's official? I'm your assistant? I eyed the fortune teller carefully. She nodded, that mysterious smile coming to her face again. I think you're going to have a lot of fun with us, Fran dear. I was all alone. There in Illustra's tent, I laid out a set of clothes she'd given me to try on. A quick peep out the tent opening told me that it was early morning. All the circus members were busy finishing their morning tasks and wrangling up some food for themselves. Illustra had gone to fetch us some food as well. I thought as her assistant that would be my job, but I got the feeling that she wanted to do more than get breakfast. I didn't argue. A few minutes to myself would be all I needed to straighten out my other affairs. Assured that I was alone, I stepped back to my new set of clothes and stared at them. I didn't like them. It wasn't that they were shiny and drew a lot of attention. I just didn't care for clothes in general. Yet they were a necessary evil if I were to be a functioning part of human society. Besides, Illustra would notice if I didn't wear them. Even land-kissing Druids wears clothes, hun. While mentally psyching myself up for the outfit, I turned my attention to the prize that I had won last night. I carefully unwrapped a blue silk cloth from around a wooden cylindrical object about as large as my forearm. It was made out of the finest red wood and surrounded with rings that twisted and clicked, all engraved with unfamiliar text. As far as I could tell, it was some sort of puzzle box. I was dying to know what was inside of it, but what had prompted me to liberate it from its previous owner was the fact that it was riddled with gemstones. I bet there's a couple of plat worth of gems on this thingamajig. Alystra, I gotta talk to you about... I froze as the tent flap flew open. Thankfully, I had my back toward the opening. I slapped the silk back around my treasure, only slightly worried that I was naked as a jaybird. I looked back at the opening to find Qualar standing there, frozen, staring, mouth open. Get out, Firebrain! I shrieked, grabbing for a blanket off the bed. Qualar shook himself. I plumb forgot you were staying here. Where's Lystra? I pulled at the blanket, trying to cover myself with it, but it snagged on something and resisted coming off the bed. She went to get breakfast. Now get out! A final tug made the blanket pop loose and fly into me unexpectedly. Normally, I am as nimble as a goat, a newborn baby goat, with palsy. So it was no surprise when I fell backward, hitting the center tent pole hard enough to tilt it sideways and bring half the tent down, right on top of Qualar. It also knocked the lamp off the pole, lighting a rug on fire. I coughed as smoke filled the room. That does it! An angry, muffled voice sounded from where Qualar had once stood. We're getting you a gypsy wagon! He slowly crawled out from under the folds of the tent, reaching out toward the fire. No more tents for you, Fran dear! The fire swirled into the air and flew toward Qualar, forming into a ball in his hand. He stared at it for a moment, mesmerized, then popped the flaming sphere into his mouth and swallowed it, plunging the lopsided room into darkness. I gasped in surprise, then coughed as smoke coated my throat. I quickly wrapped the blanket around myself, using one corner of it as a fan in hopes of clearing the air of smoke. What's going on in there? Illustra's voice called from outside. Wasn't me, Qualar called back, his voice moving closer to me. It was all his fault, I shouted between coughing fits. She knocked it down. Qualar's voice was directly next to me now. I huffed. I wouldn't have if you... Hands wrapped behind my neck, fingers entwining with my hair, pulling me into a warm, smoky kiss. I punched my free hand into Qualar's chest, trying to shove him away without dropping my prize or my blanket. Unfortunately, at the same time, I found my lips, without my permission, mind you, kissing him in return. One of his hands strayed down my neck, then wrapped around the silk-covered cylinder pressed against my chest. What's this? He asked against my lips. All fuzzy feelings gone, I pushed away from him and stepped back, clinging to my prize. I lost grip of my blanket, stepped on it, and stumbled backward. The calves of my legs ran into a trunk, and I tripped and fell against the other side of the tent. As you can see, with this amount of luck, this is why I don't play games with dice. I only roll low numbers and still get accused of cheating. With a creaking, the support pole came tumbling down, flattening the tent on top of us. What's going on? Are you okay? Illustra cried from outside. Qualar let loose an exaggerated moan. Ouch! I'm hurting! I growled. That's what you get for handling my goods, fire maniac. Outside, Illustra huffed loud enough for me to hear. Kids these days. And that's where I'll end it for the moment. There's a lot more exciting stuff that happens in this story, so I do encourage you to read it. There's also several other stories in Tales of Thac that are just a lot of fun. There's pirates and ninjas? Samurai type people, and pirates and thieves and dragons. Most importantly, there are dragons. So, again, check out fpspirit.com and you can find out more information about Tales of Thac. You can also look up some of the authors from there. There should be some links and whatnot. And yeah, so you can find Tales of Thac on Amazon and probably barnesandnoble.com. Anyway, so hope you guys enjoyed it, and once again, I'm Catherine White, and we'll talk to you soon when we publish another book, hopefully.